Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of H.R. 5056, the Research and Development Efficiency Act. I'd like to thank my colleagues, Mr. Bucshon and Mr. Peters, for introducing this important bill. As ranking member of the Subcommittee on Research and Technology, I've also been working on the topic of research regulations for some time, and I'm pleased to be a co-sponsor of this bill. Recent reports have found that federally funded researchers face significant administrative burdens, spending about 40% of their time on paperwork instead of what they do best, which is conducting research. This could mean a delay in research progress and lengthening the time for the next scientific breakthrough. And it's certainly not the best use of some of our nation's greatest science and engineering talent or of the taxpayers' investment in that talent. I want to stress that administrative requirements are very important and some of them, many of them, are in place for a reason. We must have a system that ensures that human participants are being protected and that federal resources are being used wisely. We've heard from those most affected by these requirements, and they fully agree. That being said, we also agree that we need to find the right balance that meets our safety and accountability goals, but still allows researchers to advance science for the good of the nation. Right now, we are not striking the appropriate balance. H.R. 5056 was originally introduced by Chairman Bucshon as part of the first act. The America Competes Reauthorization Act of 2014 that Ranking Member Johnson introduced and I co-sponsored had very similar language with the same goal. This bill requires the Office of Science and Technology Policy to establish a working group of federal research agencies to figure out how to better standardize and streamline the administrative requirements on their grantees. Mr. Peters helped strengthen the provision during the subcommittee consideration of the first act with an amendment that ensured that those stakeholders who are affected by all the requirements have a means to provide input and recommendations to the agency working group. The result is a bipartisan bill that we are considering today. Through a recent OMB process to overhaul their guidance on requirements for federal grants and contracts, some progress has been made to streamline and harmonize administrative tasks. Some agencies are taking additional steps on their own. For example, considering requiring certain administrative information from researchers only if the proposal has been through scientific merit review and is likely to be awarded. These are important efforts, but significant work remains. Every week in the Science Committee, we hear expert testimony on challenges with no easy solution. The challenge of having a patchwork of uncoordinated and sometimes duplicative administrative burdens on federally funded researchers should be a solvable problem. H.R. 5056 is a very important step in the right direction. Once again, I want to thank Chairman Bucshon and Mr. Peters for their leadership on this issue. I urge my colleagues to support their legislation.